I'm Shreya Dhoundial. As always, it is very good to see you. The Education Ministry, under heavy fire over its NEET and CBSE fiasco, has, ladies and gentlemen, this evening gone on an optics overdrive. Ladies and gentlemen, believe it if you can, the Air Force, the protector of India's skies, is being flown right in to protect India's exams as well. The plan on the table is this. It is to deploy air assets to transport NEET question papers to ensure that there is no leak this time. A very interesting turn of events, ladies and gentlemen, because the CBI says, and I've just read their remand copy, the CBI says that the leaks happened online via telegraph and WhatsApp, courtesy NTA insiders. This wasn't a mid-journey heist where a truck was robbed by some miscreants. So how exactly will the deployment of the Indian Air Force help? Well, the Education Minister is calling it a whole-of-government approach. The opposition is calling this a harebrained attempt at optics. They say in jest, why just the Air Force? Deploy the NASA and the ISRO and the BrahMos missiles as well. Listen in.
अब आज की डेट में धर्मेंद्र प्रधान हो, नरेंद्र मोदी जी हो, वायुसेना की मदद ले लें, ब्रह्मोस मिसाइल लगा दें, क्या हर परीक्षा सेंटर पर ये लोग जो है तोपें भी लगा दें, लेकिन परीक्षा लीक तो हो चुकी है ना।
और अब आर्मी को बुलाया है एग्जाम लेने के लिए। आर्मी क्या क्या करेगी? आर्मी बॉर्डर पर काम करेगी, आर्मी ऑपरेशन सिंदूर करेगी, आर्मी टेररिज्म के खिलाफ लड़ेगी। अब एक नई जिम्मेदारी उनके ऊपर आ गई, ये एग्जाम ले लो भाई।
पूरी दुनिया में हम अकेले देश होंगे जहां की वायुसेना अब परीक्षाएं लेने का काम करेंगे। माफी मांगिए पहले बच्चों से और कहिए वी फेल्ड।
People should not question our intent. The intent is very clear that there should be fair examination for the student, because this comprises future of 22 lakh students, which cannot be jeopardized at any cost.
Ladies and gentlemen, all this is coming on a day when the Supreme Court was in no mood to spare the government or the NTA. That is the National Testing Agency that conducts the NEET exam. The Supreme Court said that the leak was traumatic for students and their families, but the NTA hadn't learnt its lessons. The words of the Supreme Court, not mine. The Supreme Court repeatedly asked for accountability and then publicly pulled up the NTA. It said if the UPSC for years now can conduct leak-proof exams successfully, then why not the NTA? The bad press, ladies and gentlemen, the Education Ministry has been getting left, right and center is not just for the NEET leak, but also the CBSE marking fiasco. The on-screen marking system made its debut this year and landed in a massive mess. It faced serious backlash from students after papers uploaded for re-evaluation were mixed up in some cases and blurry in other cases. They were so blurry you couldn't read what is written. Now, the CBSE did acknowledge the blunder, but then went right ahead and made another bigger blunder. It went on a PR overdrive by roping in principals as cheerleaders and asking them to make reels praising the board and defending the online marking system. A toolkit of sorts was given to all principals, and they were told what to say and where to post these reels. In fact, Times Now has accessed internal talking points allegedly circulated by the CBSE's regional officers to school principals. Shockingly, principals were given near identical scripts by the CBSE, and they followed the instructions to the T, putting out nearly identical reels on social media. As was expected, this coordinated messaging got caught by students and their parents, and now the CBSE is facing flack for not fixing the problem, but fixing their PR instead. We have compiled 3 reels posted by 3 principals. There are many on social media, but we have just taken 3 just to show you how this PR overdrive has actually boomeranged on the CBSE. Take a look.
It was introduced with a positive outlook.
From an academic standpoint, the OSM system has fundamentally improved the structural integrity of our assessments.
By automating totals and question-wise score,
mappings, it completely eliminates the human clerical errors, such as calculation slips or posting mistakes, which used to plague traditional physical marking.
या जो हम अपने आंखों पर यह चश्मा लगाए हैं सीबीएसई का, यह स्पष्ट तमाचा सीबीएसई के मुंह पर है और इस सरकार के मुंह पर है। जब आंखों से कुछ दिखाई नहीं देगा तो ये कापियां कैसे आप चेक करेंगे? यानी कि बिना तैयारी के आप यहां के 12वीं के अभ्यर्थियों का भविष्य बर्बाद कर रहे हैं।
Rahul Gandhi and the opposition are now demanding the resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan as the education minister. Rahul is questioning the government over the Hyderabad firm that was given the contract for this OSM. He says when COEMT had a controversial past, why did the CBSE employ them in the first place? The government in response is saying Rahul must first answer why Congress ruled states like Telangana and Karnataka worked with COEMT and didn't blacklist them.
Why and by whom was COEMT given the CBSE contract? If we could figure out in 30 seconds that this company earlier had a different name, why didn't the CBSE figure this out? And why were no background checks done?
राहुल गांधी जी एक अलग मानसिकता में पहुंच चुके हैं। निरंतर चुनाव हारने के कारण वो फ्रस्ट्रेशन में जा चुके हैं। भारत की वैज्ञानिक प्रगति के साथ वो नहीं है।
Mr. Rahul Gandhi is an unethical headline hunter who manufactures baseless, hyper-sensational fake narrative just to stay in the news and remain politically relevant. Rahul Gandhi has mentioned a particular company saying it is controversial and questioned why agreements were made with the company. See how ironical and self-contradictory Rahul Gandhi is, because Congress ruled Karnataka and Telangana, and the state-run public universities under these Congress state governments have signed agreements with the same company.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our education system is a mess, and is always the case. There is no accountability when failure strikes. The system, quote unquote, gets blamed. Individuals go scot-free. The political war is underway. Question is, can the Indian Air Force fix the problem for the Indian government? Question also is, how far can optics fly? My guest this evening, Radhika Khera, spokesperson of the BJP, joining us on the broadcast. Good evening, Radhika ji. Air Commodore A.S. Behel is an ex-Indian Air Force fighter pilot joining us on the broadcast. Good evening, sir. Major General Dr. Yash Moore is a defense analyst joining us on the broadcast. Brijesh Kalappa, spokesperson of the Congress Party. Clyde Crasto is national spokesperson and secretary of the NCP. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Air Commodore, I'm going to come to you first for obvious reasons. I want to ask you what you make of the government's plans to use the Indian Air Force to fly NEET papers.
Thank you, Shreya, for calling me. Jai Hind. Let me tell you that not only I have been in the Air Force as a fighter pilot, but I have also been director and executive director of number of universities where I have myself conducted directly or indirectly such exams, especially National Director of Ministry of Education in NIOS. So I've been handling these exams, and I've conducted it for Bihar and West Bengal, where you know how much of trouble it is to get a fair examination system done. So firstly, I will tell you about the Air Force itself. And let me tell you that in armed forces, we have been carrying out huge recruitments. We have been carrying out number of exams everywhere at every level, from airmen right up to officers. Have you ever heard even one instance where they talk of any practice being done, or anywhere where such things can happen? So the government's decision to involve the armed forces. Now, I don't want to talk of only Air Force. I think the armed forces as a whole are known both for their reliability, mission orientation, as well as they are a visible symbol of the government's seriousness that it wants to reform, institute structural reforms for the NEET exam. The secondly, an important thing is that when we use the Air Force, there will be a time compression that will take place. You know, there are number of stages in the exam: setting of paper, conversion, that is translation to 13 different languages. Then third stage comes is printing of paper, and then comes the stage of national transportation. Now this national transportation is where the Indian Air Force probably would be utilized. And will go up to the district centers of 551 cities in India that are there, and as well as 14 out of India places.
But
I'm not sure whether we are going to be utilized over there.
Air Commodore Behel, here's the point. The point is that the Indian Air Force is being used not just for time compression, it is also being used to ensure that the papers are secure. Now, I want to ask you, the last time we had question papers being transported by Air Force transport planes to keep them secure, which is where I'll bring in Radhika Khera. Radhika Khera ji, you know, as a tax-paying citizen, I ask you this question. As a tax-paying citizen, I'm very happy to see optics as long as they are free. But I don't want to pay for these optics. May I ask you what purpose roping in the Indian Air Force will solve? Fact is, paper leak kahan hua tha? CBI ki remand copy keh rahi hai that the paper leak happened not when it was, you know, it was being transported from place A to place B. It was transported via social media. It was transported via WhatsApp. It was leaked via WhatsApp and Telegram. So Indian Air Force kya kar legi isme?
What I really don't understand, Shreya, is when the government takes steps to ensure that the future of our future generations is secure, and if we have failed, and first of all, before I reply to you, I would first of all like to address this with absolute honesty. When it comes to the future of our youth, our government does not behind excuses. We take complete responsibility for ensuring the sanctity of our education system. When a breach happens, a responsible government does not run away, which is why we are confronting the problem head on. And yes, we have at this point of time failed our students, but now it is our responsibility not to just keep pondering over it, but to find ways to ensure that this does not happen again, which is why we have taken very strict steps, whether it is forming committees, whether it is the CBI inquiries, whether it is the arrest, whether it's ensuring that strict action is taken and there's a 10-year jail along with a 1 crore fine. That is how our government is working. Now, when you talk about why is the Air Force being brought in, well, our first immediate action has to be to ensure that this does not happen again.
Correct.
And if there's and as well as the committee that was formed, Dr. Ramakrishnan committee that was formed, that also suggests that we should involve whether it is DMs, police, local security, or even getting the army or the Air Force into it. And we are not the first country to be doing that. There are other countries as well who have done that. What would you want? That our future generation's future is secure or not? We cannot be like the Congress governments for 10 years that they were in power, from 2006 to 2014, when CBSE leaks, AIEE, AIM paper leaks, everything happened, and they said idle. But my medical fees were sold under a table.
No, Radhika ji, I am all for the government securing the paper and ensuring there is no other leak. There are no leaks, right? Because the government has been embarrassed enough. पहला लीक तो हुआ नहीं है, ये आप लोगों के अंडर 2024 में भी हुआ था, 2019 में भी हुआ था. So we don't want another paper leak. No one in this country wants another paper leak. I am again asking you, and if you can just address the question I'm asking you. The paper leak in 2026 happened because there were NTA insiders who were compromised. There are 3 professors who were paper setters who are under arrest. The paper leaked via WhatsApp and Telegram. How will the Indian Air Force help in this? जब breach transportation में हुआ ही नहीं, why are you fixing the transportation?
We are fixing everything. We are fixing everything. Like you said, those people are in jail जिन्होंने WhatsApp भी किया.
Okay.
जहाँ से शुरुआत हुई, where it went. See, you have answered it yourself. Like I asked, what is a responsible government supposed to do? We are supposed to ensure that this does not happen again. And yes, it has happened again. But saying कि embarrassment है, no. It is our responsibility.
Embarrassment नहीं है. 2019 में पेपर लीक होता है, 2024 में होता है. Committee is made, recommendations, hundreds of recommendations are given.
छत्तीसगढ़ में हुआ था भूपेश बघेल की सरकार में, और उनकी सरकार के उनके सीएम ऑफिस के लोग उसमें इन्वॉल्व थे. No action was taken. 26 papers under Ashok Gehlot government.
उनके हुआ तो हम भी अपने यहाँ करवाएंगे. तब हुआ तो अभी भी होना चाहिए. It's justified.
This is a very serious issue. Either you asked a question.
All right, I think you have answered the question. Major General Dr. Yashmore, would you want to come in and respond to what Radhika ji and Air Commodore A.S. Bahl are saying? That we are doing everything to ensure that the paper is not leaked. अब हम Air Force को rope in कर रहे हैं. Again, people have a problem.
Shreya, Jai Hind, and good evening to you, the panelists, and all the listeners. ये बड़ी शर्म की बात हमारे लिए कि हम पेपर नहीं करा सकते. What about the dignity and the responsibility and the esteem of the institutions which are responsible for this? Getting the Army, Navy, or Air Force to do tasks, we will do it. Once the Defense Ministry orders, they will perform, and they will perform absolutely professionally. But this should question mark on NTA and our entire system. Why can't we transport it through post and telegraph? We have no faith in them. Why not use other means of railways or aircrafts? And Shreya, let me tell you a bigger issue here is, हमारे पास कोई unlimited aircraft तो है नहीं. We have got limited transport fleet. If this transport fleet is used for transporting question papers, it will be at the cost of some soldiers who have to come down from Leh, Siachen, Partapur, Northeast, and move our logistics or other things. It will always impinge there. I've been in Leh, I've done tenure in Ladakh and also Kashmir. The day aircraft doesn't come, it has been used somewhere else. So this is really, I think, the bigger question is utilization of an air asset for this thing. It is, I think, we should look beyond optics. अब इसकी फिल्म भी बनेगी, रील भी बनेगी. देखो, एयरक्राफ्ट में लोड कर दिया पेपर, अभी जा रहा है.
रील तो CBSE वाले बना रहे हैं आज. जनरल मोर, रील तो CBSE वाले बना रहे हैं आज. अपने प्रिंसिपल्स को बोल रहे हैं जरा रील बनाइए.
पूरे मीडिया में सब में आएगा. But my question is, the air assets being used for a thing like this, which should institutions themselves should handle. It will be at cost of moving soldiers and logistics from our operational areas. So operational, that means is low priority, and the examination has assumed higher priority.
Air Commander Bahl, this is how we are. Air Commander Bahl, it's not the Air Force's responsibility to conduct exams in this country. That responsibility is given to a body called the National Testing Agency, which has failed in its job.
There is no doubt that there have to be a lot of things straightened out, and like you rightly mentioned, I had given you the entire steps of how the paper is set and how the paper is translated and printed and sent, and we are only involved in the transportation purposes. But this is not the first time that transportation of civilian material has been carried out. Even in election duties, Indian Air Force aircraft have been utilized, and also in support of the government, number of times on civilian duties, the Indian Air Force aircraft have been requisitioned. I'm not talking of natural disasters here. But the second part, and important part, is yes, if it is clashing with the operational requirements at that moment, then yes, we need to find other requisitions. But more importantly, the Indian Air Force operates outside local police, state bureaucracy, and local political influence.
Correct.
And that is the reason why it is less likely to be corrupted and indirectly a stakeholder. Last thing I want to say is that it also causes deterrence. Moment the Indian Air Force is going to be utilized, there is a deterrence value that comes in everybody else कि अब हमारे देश के armed forces involved है, अब कुछ गदर नहीं होने वाला. See the confidence level that comes on the people. Today the confidence level has gone down.
Air Commodore A.S. Bahl, I take that point. You're saying yes, it is optics, but at this point of time, you need to build the confidence of 23 lakh students who are going to be writing this exam, and therefore optics hi sahi, let it go on. Maybe it's a step in the right direction. Clyde, would you want to step in here?
Yeah, Shreya, I've been trying to talk to you for a while now. It's very absurd that the people from the Bharatiya Janata Party or their supporters are trying to come out with reasons why all this is so valid. First and foremost, our Indian Air Force. I mean, their duty is something completely different. And you are asking them to transport, examination papers. I mean, it's like an insult to such a dignity of this position. I mean, in the first place, you keep talking about we are trying to secure the future of the youth and this, and why didn't you do it in the first place? I mean, you're playing optics, then do one more thing. Why doesn't the Education Minister, Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan, himself fly the aircraft and take those papers? And we are talking about reels, Shreya. I'm telling you, don't be surprised. You'll suddenly found an AI-generated reel where Dharmendra Pradhan is holding the papers in his hand and is teleporting himself into each classroom. They can do anything. I mean, the point here is very simple. The government should have put everything in place right in the beginning. The whole CBSE, the reels that you're showing, I mean, this is a mockery of the whole system. After doing everything, we are concerned about the future generation. We are doing this. You wait for things to happen. You wait for people to suffer. You wait for people to die. And then you go and say that we are doing this, we are doing that, and shamelessly taking credit for it by asking the Indian Air Force to take news, these papers from one place to the other to create news. It's actually insult. So I think the government should own up and say that we have failed. Dharmendra Pradhan should resign. He should leave his seat and get somebody else who can do his job. This is not the first time he has failed. Radhika, and every time somebody fails like this, instead of removing them, they get promoted and for other things.
Okay, Radhika ji, any particular reason?
The reel that is left now. Don't be surprised if you get a reel that is teleporting.
Okay, Radhika ji, any particular reason why accountability has not been fixed? And the accountability has to flow from the top, right? So at the top of the education ministry is Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan. Is there any good reason why Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation has not been sought, ma'am? Given the fact कि ना आपसे question paper संभलते हैं, ना answer paper संभलते हैं, कुछ तो संभल नहीं रहा. So
पहली बात, हमसे कुछ संभल नहीं रहा होता श्रेया जी तो 12 साल से लगातार इस देश के लोग बेवकूफ तो है नहीं. इट्स लाइक कॉलिंग देम रियली स्टूपिड कि हमसे देश संभल नहीं रहा, हमसे पेपर नहीं संभल रहे, इसीलिए बेवकूफों की तरह लोग हमें वोट दे रहे हैं ना. जनता देश की बहुत समझदार है. अगर ये गलती हुई है और हम उसके ऊपर ऑल्टरनेट्स निकाल रहे हैं कि कैसे किया जाए, जैसे मैंने आपको गिनवाया पुरानी सरकारें क्या करती थी. Yes, I understand the questions that Major General Saab over here, Yash ji has, or the NCP spokesperson is coming up with these. He thinks that these are WhatsApp and kind of jokes, or he's getting them from wherever. What are naval ships meant to take the Gandhi family and Sonia Gandhi's family coming from abroad for holidays? मतलब पार्टियां होती थी, thumbs ups and wines and dine and steaks. That was what our Navy was used for. That time, where was the Major General Sahab? My all due respect to the armed forces. I come from a family of armed forces. All due respect, इन्होंने question किया. तो किसी को तकलीफ नहीं हुई थी जब हमारे नेवल शिप्स को वाटर्स छोड़ के गांधी परिवार के लिए भाई आ रहे हैं. राजीव गांधी जी के ससुराल वाले, उनको लेकर जाना है छुट्टियों के लिए. Was that what our ships used for? Today our Air Force, if it is being used to make sure and ensure the future of our future generations is secure, and for one exam, ऐसा तो नहीं है कि सारे टाइम इस्तेमाल होगा. Were you paying your taxes, Shreya ji, to entertain the sasural walas of Rajiv Gandhi ji?
Back then I was not earning. Thank you very much. Back then I wasn't earning. I wasn't a journalist. I doubt if I was born.
Your parents were. That was the money that was supposed to be used for us, for our future. Our government is using the money that is meant for our future generations.
Since the acquisition is against the Congress party, maybe they should respond. Boliye.
No, to everyone.
Mr. Kalappa, why are you calling this an optics overdrive then?
See, just like Radhika Kera has just put up a manufactured anger over something which is alleged over 40 years or 50 years ago, and just like that, there is a manufactured or fabricated degree which the Honorable Prime Minister has, and that's the reason we are suffering all these indignities with regard to the examination system. First thing is, let the Prime Minister show his degree certificate, which is a valid one, and then we can go forward on this. This is the first part. Second part, one minute, don't be so anxious. Second part is, that as far as these, Air Force issues are concerned, doesn't the Air Force have better business, Shreya ji? I think this is a question which we need to ask ourselves. Are we moving towards a state where we have to choose our national fruit and say the banana is a national fruit and declare the Indian nation as a banana republic? Is this what we are heading to? And now Radhika ji speaks about the fact that other countries are making use of their own Air Force for flying, for flying examination stuff. Is she speaking of Congo, Rwanda and such others? Are we competing with these countries? Is this what we are making of our country? The third part. Prime Minister said 12 years ago, na khaunga, na khane dunga, right? For 12 long years, he has been saying, na khaunga, na khane dunga. Today, he says, no, we have to make use of the Air Force in order to curb corruption. Is this the state we have come to? Is this what our country has come to, that there is no holds barred with regard to making money and looting the system? 6,000 crore has been spent on investment for the NTA. One minute, 6,000 crore.
Are you saying that the government has made money off this NEET paper leak? No one will believe you, Mr. Kalappa.
No, I am not sure. I'm not sure. But there are certain people who have benefited from the system. Now, how does this fit in with "na khaunga, na khane dunga"? Could he not ensure that the best of officers, best of people came into the system to ensure that NEET students didn't suffer? How many have committed suicide? Who is going to be held responsible for the suicides which have been committed? Is the Prime Minister going to show his face to all these families and say, "I'm sorry, now I'm going to bring the Air Force"? Is this the way to correct the system? Or to declare India as a banana republic? That's the only way left for us.
Radhika ji, see, the point is that people in this country are smart. They see optics when optics are playing out. And I'm not just talking about the Indian Air Force being deployed, Radhika ji. I'm also speaking about the fact that the CBSE this week has gone on a PR overdrive and asked all principals to make reels praising the CBSE and the OSM. That's the on-screen marking system, which, as you know, has created a complete mess. Now, इस तरह के काम करेंगे, CBSE will, give exact scripts to all principals across the country, and they will go on social media and on Instagram and parrot those lines. You think they will not be caught?
Shreya ji, 5 points that I need to counter here. Just give me 10 seconds.
Can you respond to what I'm asking?
I will respond to you as well, but I need to respond to the Congress spokesperson as well. Your point, I will not go leave the debate without responding to that. First thing, he asked for the certificate and degree of the Prime Minister. 12 साल से देश की जनता सर्टिफिकेट और डिग्री का जवाब दे रही है आपको. आप करते रहिए, आप टेररिस्ट बोलते जाइए, अनपढ़ बोलते जाइए, चाय वाला बोलते जाइए, सब कुछ बोलते रहिए. धड़ाधड़ एक उंगली से जवाब मिलता है. दूसरा, he said, are we competing with Congo? Well, sir, the same China, जिसके CPC के साथ you signed agreements when you went on the Beijing Olympics, चुपचाप Rahul Gandhi, when Galwan was happening, was having Chinese dinner with the Chinese ambassador. भाई वहां पे भी होता है, your favorite China. Third, he said ना खाऊंगा ना खाने दूंगा. बिल्कुल, इसलिए जब आप कंप्लेन करते हैं अरविंद केजरीवाल भ्रष्टाचारी है, आप कंप्लेन करते हैं केरला की सीपीआई सरकार भ्रष्टाचारी, हम ईडी भेज देते हैं आपके कहने पे, तुरंत भेजते हैं. और यहाँ पे भी हम इंश्योर कर रहे हैं जिन्होंने गड़बड़ करी है, श्रेया जी ने खुद बताया, वो अरेस्ट हुए. चौथा, he said, if I remember, you were asking about this. Absolutely, they've been asked to make reels. This is not something that we will let go of. Every person who is responsible for making a mockery out of this situation will be held accountable. And we are not a government that let things go by. The Prime Minister has taken cognizance and he is going to be there ensuring. देखिए, ये प्रधानमंत्री होते हैं देश के और प्रधान सेवक. He is the Prime Minister of every child who is also studying, as well as you, me, and even Mr. Brijesh Kalappa sitting over here. But one thing I forgot to say, Shreya, एक राहुल गांधी का clip आपने चलाया था when he said, in 30 seconds we got to know of the company. I have the letters over here of the same company which was working on the Congress, Karnataka, Telangana, and इनके previous भाई तमिलनाडु, अब दूसरे भी भाई हैं, भाई बदलते रहते हैं, सरकार इनकी रहती है. तो 30 seconds में ये अपने आप के अंदर इंट्रोस्पेक्ट नहीं कर पाए. He screams and shouts, Adani, Ambani, his own chief ministers do deals with Adani, Ambani.
Just let me give our viewers some background. You're speaking about COEMT, the agency that has the contract for the OSMs. This is the CBSE's. This is the firm that the CBSE
has. The company that Rahul Gandhi was talking about.
Absolutely, the company that Rahul Gandhi was talking about. So is this your argument? Is it your argument that क्योंकि कांग्रेस की सरकारों ने एक बेकार एजेंसी एम्प्लॉय की विदाउट ड्यू डिलिजेंस, इसलिए सीबीएसई भी वही बेकार एजेंसी हायर करेगी विदाउट ड्यू डिलिजेंस बिकॉज द कांग्रेस डिड इट? हाउ इज दैट एन आर्गुमेंट?
Absolutely not. I just raised that because Rahul Gandhi said in 30 seconds he got to know what company we've given it to. But in all these years, he could not get to know what his chief ministers and his party was up to. The problem is that he proves every day that he's fakku. Secondly, I am saying this with utmost responsibility. Yes, we have failed the students of the country this time. And we promise that we will not let that happen again, which is why we are on war footing. The Prime Minister himself is going to ensure that this does not happen.
Well, the Solicitor General today in the Supreme Court has said that the Prime Minister is personally monitoring how these exams will be held. I think Clyde wants to say something, then Brijesh can come in. Yes, Clyde, go ahead.
Shreya, I thought we were talking about, the Air Force taking the NEET paper somewhere. Looks like you ask a question, write and narrate an essay on Rahul Gandhi. We are not here to hear an essay on Rahul Gandhi. The point is very simple. Dharmendra Pradhan has failed. Is the BJP-led government are going to ask him to resign and take the onus on them? That's the whole point. Because he has failed consistently. Everybody in the country knows that optics are being played. And two wrongs don't make a right. Every time you say something, you say, they did this, therefore we did this, so what? It doesn't work that way. It's like, ye kyun ho gaya, leak kyun hoga? You keep asking them questions, suddenly don't be surprised. They'll say, melody khao, khud jaan jao. हम इसलिए बैठे हैं यहाँ पर, क्या काम आपका है? 12 साल से आप बोल रहे हैं ना, 12 साल से लोगों ने हमें चुनकर लाया, तो काम कीजिए ना लोगों के लिए. If they are electing you again and again after 12 years also, they're continuously electing you, then work for them. Why are the papers being leaked?
Radhika ji, two things.
Melody khao, khud jaan jao, ऐसा तो नहीं होता है ना?
Okay, Radhika ji, two things. If you ask questions of powers that be, you don't become an anti-national. But a 17-year-old CBSE student was declared a Pakistani by trolls in this country because he raised questions on the CBSE. And the BJP's argument cannot be for everything kuch gadbad hui, but the people of this country are electing us, which means we can get away with anything. That cannot be your argument. Anyway, let Brijesh Kalapa come in. I'll come to you.
See, Shreya ji, I was only pointing out that 21 there was a paper leak, 24 there was a paper leak, and 26 there has been a paper leak. Now there have been as many as 90 plus paper leaks in this country. Now question is this, that if you concede that there has been corruption in the examination system and that's why the examination system is so ruined, and you're making a concession by saying that, look, we are going to rely on the Air Force. Are you planning to infuse the same disease into the Indian Air Force as well? That is your last bastion. You are only relying on the armed forces for every little, benefit you can squeeze out of them. On every issue, it's the last bastion, saying that no, hamara jawan jo hai, they are on the borders. And now you're...
Exam papers being really leaked is a comic show या किसी के ऊपर मतलब आप जाइब लेके ट्वीट कर दें. मजाक बनाया होता श्रेया जी मजाक बनाया होता.
अगर मजाक नहीं उड़ता, Mazak nahi udta if a harebrained idea like pulling in the Air Force would not have been deployed. If the CBSE had not asked principals to make these absolutely silly reels, mazak nahi udta.
First of all, मैं एक बात clear कर दूं. There was a committee that was formed by the Dr. K. Radhakrishnan committee, and उस committee की ये suggestion थी कि Air Force को open करना चाहिए. तो हर चीज ना हमारे ऊपर बात आती हुई है कि ये हमारे ही idea थे. पूरी committee form हुई and
उस committee का तो एक और idea था. उस committee का एक और idea था. For NEET, that for pen and paper instead of pen and paper go online. वो आइडिया तो आपको तब समझ नहीं आया.
हम सब लागू कर रहे हैं because we have to. अच्छा ये बताइए कि आज तक if I start counting इतिहास से, we start from Nehru ji till today, how many papers have leaked? Let's just even talk about the UPA government under Dr. Manmohan Singh.
No, I agree with you. Under Mr. Gehlot, who was the chief minister, chief minister of Rajasthan, there were at least 19 paper leaks.
26 papers, ma'am. 26 papers. What happened? What accountability was set? Who was arrested? Chhattisgarh government, Bhupesh Baghel, the SSC paper leak. What happened? His own office was responsible for it. And let me tell you, we are the same government. If you remember, let me tell you a little bit of history. In 1990, when our Uttar Pradesh government, Kalyan Singh ji, bought an anti-copying act. This I really need to tell because they're the alliance partners of Congress and Mr. Clyde Castro sitting over here. In 1990, Kalyan Singh ji bought the anti-copying act. 1993, Mulayam Singh comes into power. He removes that. Akhilesh Yadav comes as chief minister. He says, open book exam karo. This is how the India Gathbandhan wants to talk about it. So the point is, we have to ensure. And I still don't understand why is everybody so dappled and rattled that solution mil raha hai. Ki agar
the point is it's not a solution. Na? Everyone knows it is not a solution. अगर मुझे बुखार हुआ है, if I have fever and if you're giving me medicine for loose motions, that is not finding a solution, na?
मैम लूज मोशन क्या पता फीवर की वजह से लूज मोशन भी हो रही है. हमारे को सारे आसपास की जो चीजें साइड इफेक्ट्स हो रहे हैं वो भी तो देखने हैं ना. हमें पूरी क्रिस्टल क्लियर. एंड द पॉइंट इज आवर प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज इंश्योरिंग ही इज पर्सनली लुकिंग इनटू दिस. दैट इज अकाउंटेबिलिटी. टेल मी हाउ मेनी प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स इन द पास्ट और हाउ मेनी रिमोट कंट्रोल्स लाइक Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi took cognizance and came out and said that we will look into it. हाँ मैंने इस्तीफा, क्या अब ऐसे करें कि कांग्रेस की सरकारों की तरह इस्तीफा करते रहे और फिर प्रॉब्लम पे प्रॉब्लम बढ़ती जाए? The problem has to be nipped at the bud, and that is what we are doing and ensuring, which is why people are arrested. बताइए कितने लोग अरेस्ट हुए राजस्थान में, छत्तीसगढ़ में या मनमोहन सिंह जी की गवर्नमेंट में? वही लोग कंटिन्यू करते रहे, आज भी वही लोग कांग्रेस की पार्टी चला रहे।
मेजर जनरल यशमोर, ठीक है, मेजर जनरल यशमोर, आई एम गोइंग टू गिव यू द लास्ट वर्ड. I'm going to give you the last word as a citizen who has heard this entire discussion.
See, Shreya, it is very sad, this over-the-top rhetoric, trying to blame, deflect the entire thing. We were discussing institutions here. कि institutions का क्या role है? Institutions को ज़मीर में झांकना चाहिए, देखना चाहिए. We must try to improve our institutions. And the second issue was use of Air Force. I think this is really absolutely not a task that Air Force should be doing it. Air Force is meant for many other things, operational reasons, otherwise also. So these are the two issues. Now trying to, take the thing to something else is absolutely unfortunate. Okay. It is a very important exam. We must improve the NTA. We must improve the CBSE, the UPSC, the UGC, and get the right people in right places and take responsibilities, take moral responsibility and take criminal responsibility. I'm sure CBI is arresting a lot of people. Excellent. But the leaks are happening at the source, and Air Force can really not stop the leaks. Tomorrow you'll ask the local formation, you guard the examination centers, and our areas and sub-areas will be involved in this. I think forces should have nothing to do with it. We have a system in place, improve the system. As a citizen, let's try and get an examination which is foolproof. That is what we are looking for. So I think this debate, trying to deflect it here and there, is really unfortunate.
Okay.
And I came to the show only to discuss the role of Air Force and the institutional, which should be safeguarding our the impartiality of our examination system. Okay. Thank you, Shreya.
Okay, ji, thank you. We'll wrap the discussion here, Radhika ji. It's because your systems have failed that you're seeking the help of the armed forces. It says something. We'll leave it there for the moment. I think our viewers have heard all points of views. They're very smart. They can make up their own minds. They will know whether this is optics or this is a real attempt at a solution. For the moment, thank you very much for joining us. Radhika Khera, Air Commodore A.S. Behel, thank you very much. Major General Moore, Brijesh Kalappa, and Clyde Crasto. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, a quick break. There's more on the other side. Do stay with us.